Okay, we will call the meeting of the Western Municipal Water District Board of Directors to order at 9:30 on April 16th, 2025. Please have roll call.
Thank you, President Roten. Prior to roll call, I just wanted to make an announcement that we are having some technical difficulties in the boardroom today. Those issues are related to our ability to have our microphones pick up our voices, which is why you hear me speaking louder than normal. It's for the purpose of the live stream. Our Zoom connection may or may not be able to hear us and vice versa. And we do have a standalone speaker here that will hopefully do that. It does not affect our live stream capability.
Are you asking board members to yell loud?
Yes, please. We do need you. You can still speak through your microphones. It will help. However, if you could please project, that would be.
There's not a requirement to, you'll recall, not a requirement to Zoom to change anything. So whole meeting, still being recorded, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
It is still being recorded. We actually are recording on Zoom as well. However, just for the benefit of possibly making it easier to hear off of the standalone microphone speaker, we're going to project. Everything else is working correctly, and it should be fine in the closed session room. Okay, so with that, I will take roll call. Director Gardner.
Here.
Director Torres. Present. Director Denstedt.
Here.
It's gonna be a fun morning. Director Rizvi. President Roten.
Here.
Thank you, President Roten. You do have a quorum today.
I would like to invite Hudson Burney from Operations Technician 1, Production and Distribution, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone.
Can you go to the other side of the podium? That way. There we go. Perfect.
I told you this was hard to do.
All right. Well,
I think he was speaking the right. He was.
Really was.
all right. Well, my name's Hudson Burney. I'm an operations technician 1 for the production distribution side of the operations department. I've been here for about coming up on 6 months, about 5.5 months. And yeah, I'm here to lead you guys in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Great.
So if everyone's already stood up. Right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, this is one of our newest employees, and you can see the enthusiasm that got him the job, but Hudson, you started as a part-time, right?
Yes, sir.
And so operations has this great history of finding these really skilled young people that they bring in as part-timers, and a lot of them are just waiting for an opportunity to show up, and one showed up. So actually, we've had 2 recently. We just hired another one, a part-timer that shifted to an entry-level position. It's an outstanding pipeline to get really good people into the organization. So
Great.
thank you.
Okay. Welcome, Hudson. Next, we have public comments. Do we have any public comments this morning?
President Roten, I've received no written public comments, and I have no request to speak inside the boardroom.
Okay. That takes us to our consent calendar, and before I ask anything about that, I would like to pull item C so that we can have an overview report of that item. So we can consider items A, B, and D unless there's anything else that anyone would like to pull. Okay.
Second.
You're ready for the roll call vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres,
Aye.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
And that'll bring us to item 5C. Receive and file the 2025 Regional Water Management Plan for the San Bernardino Basin area. So I asked for this to be pulled and reported on, not because of any particular like concern about the plan, but there's so much in it. And I don't know why this year, when it came to committee, it just struck me even more than in the past when I've seen a similar presentation. And so for the benefit of our public, I wanted to just kind of highlight what it was all about. So thank you.
That, that's fine. I can't recall last year whether we did it as a presentation to the board or if we did
I
it
believe we
to
did,
committee.
to committee, I believe.
Yeah, these things are, you know, we kind of make a decision based on the timing of the meeting and things, but it is. Hard work goes into this, and it's really stating the conditions of the San Bernardino Basin, and we're one of the 2 water masters there. So I do think it's very appropriate that it goes to the full board. So with that, Mallory, do it all over again.
This works, this one works, great. Okay, very good. Good morning, President Roten, directors and staff. This morning, we will bring to you the San Bernardino Basin Regional Water Management Plan, which is an annual plan that we bring to EOWR and the board for review. San Bernardino Valley staff takes the lead in preparing the report, and it's adopted by the Basin Technical Advisory Committee, which is a group of San Bernardino Basin pumpers and regional stakeholders, typically in December of each year, before going to the San Bernardino Valley and Western boards for their review. And like Craig mentioned, because Western and San Bernardino Valley represent the entities that extract groundwater in the San Bernardino Basin area, both agencies' boards have the opportunity to review the plan. Okay, so think of this plan, I like to think of it as an outlook for this year. So it is adopted in 2024, so for 2025. And it's more of a annual report, I'd like to say. And the primary goal is to really ensure that artificial groundwater recharge does not result in high groundwater conditions in the San Bernardino Basin pressure zone area, which we'll have in a later slide. So as you may recall, there were high groundwater conditions in the 80s and 90s in the San Bernardino area. There were hospital basements flooding, all kinds of things that really had a big impact. So this report and this plan is to ensure that that does not happen. Those conditions do not return to the San Bernardino Basin area. And so this plan takes into consideration basin conditions like the percent basin capacity available and the current groundwater levels, to plan for how they're going to manage the groundwater resources up for that year. There's 3 main goals to the plan: to establish annual maximums and triggers for recharge and diversion to avoid unwanted impacts such as the high groundwater and spreading of existing contaminants. So again, this is not something that is really more of an operational plan. It's setting maximums so that we can avoid any potential impacts to water levels in the basin. And the first goal here is to manage water levels in the basin. The main goal really, and a key component of that, is establishing the artificial recharge maximum for 2025 and to avoid shallow groundwater in that pressure zone area. The second main goal is to manage the Santa Ana River diversions. There was a 2007 agreement that required that all of the available Santa Ana River diversions are recharged in the San Bernardino Basin area. And so this plan and report shows that that has been done for 2024. And it also tracks, tracking of other basin accounts. The third is to manage the contaminant plumes. And so they use groundwater flow models to determine recharge maximums to minimize any spreading of those contaminants plumes in the area. I have a couple of, okay. So the main goal is to manage those water levels. And currently the San Bernardino Basin area is at approximately 4.88 million acre feet of the total capacity of about 5.6 million acre feet. So it's about 86% full at this time. Approximately 809 acre feet of space is available for recharge. So basically we just do a little math problem. We take that full 5.6 million acre feet, what the current storage is, what that remaining is, and then always make sure that we're accounting for this coming year. If we have a wet year, we have an average year, make sure we have room for that. We want to be able to accept that rainfall into the basin. And then whatever is that difference is what's the remaining available for recharge, for artificial recharge, like putting water into spreading basins into the groundwater. And so for 2025, the maximum recharge is 424,000 acre feet. As you can see on the slide here, that was that space when you took out all of the remaining space available, that's what's left. And that's down from about 625,000 acre feet just this last year. We've had a couple of pretty wet winters. And so as you may imagine, we've gotten a lot more water in the basin. So it's giving a little bit less for artificial recharge space. So, and it varies from year to year. And so coming back to the San Bernardino Basin pressure zone area, the main goal as part of this plan is to ensure that the water levels do not get too shallow in this pressure zone area. 50 feet is the minimum, as shallow as we want to get in this area, because anything shallower than that could cause high groundwater issues, could cause liquefaction issues. You can see from this in the black box here on the screen, the current water levels in the pressure zone are between 150 to 250 feet below ground level. So nowhere near the 50 foot minimum or maximum. And so there's a low liquefaction risk at this point. And with that, I can take any questions. This item is recommended for receive and file.
Sorry, I had turned off my mic. Can you just clarify what artificial recharge is versus, we know when rainfall falls,
Yeah.
it's kind of the natural process, but what would be like maybe an example of artificial recharge?
A good example is the San Bernardino, the Santa Ana River Spreading Grounds, the enhanced recharge project that you spoke at a couple weeks back. Those basins were made, artificial man-made basins to capture, divert water and intentionally put it into the groundwater basin. So that's an example of artificial recharge. And natural recharge could be water that percolates into the basin from, the river just naturally flowing. And that's more of a natural recharge scenario.
Okay, so artificial recharge, if I am understanding this correctly, it can vary from year to year depending on what water is available to actually put into the spreading grounds and
Correct.
those kinds of things.
Correct. The amount that's available, the quality of the water, sometimes if the water's cloudy or has a lot of debris in it, it may not be able to recharge. The basins may not be able to recharge quite as much because it can get clogged faster, that kind of thing. So water availability, water quality, several factors depend on how much recharge can occur.
Okay, are there any other questions?
One, is there any recharge of treated wastewater in that basin?
I believe they are starting to do that recently with the Sterling Natural Resource Center. It's owned by East Valley Water District. And I believe they're starting to put some of that wastewater into, correct me if I'm wrong, the Weaver Basin, which is close to Seven Oaks Dam. It's by East Valley's facilities.
Becky, that can be a good source of other rechargeable water. And with the requirements now on water treatment facilities, it's pretty clean water. Certainly suitable for recharge. They do quite a bit of that in Chino's.
They do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mallory. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second. Receive and file. We need to vote separately on that, right, too?
Yes, we do. Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Denstead.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
With that, we will move on to item 6. Any items to be added to the agenda, Mr. Jones?
Nothing to add. Thank you, Jennifer.
Moving to item 7, the action agenda. A, adopt resolution number 3336, approving the 2025 local guidelines for implementing the California Environmental Quality Act. Mr. Miller, do you want to introduce that one?
Right, this is kind of an administrative job that we need to do to develop our own guidelines to make sure that we're implementing CEQA, as everyone calls it, CEQA, for our own projects appropriately. So Sonia's gonna give us an update on any modifications to our guidelines.
Good morning, directors and members of the board. Today, we're discussing the proposed adoption of the revised local guidelines for implementing the California Environmental Quality Act, also known as CEQA. These updates are crucial for ensuring our compliance with recent changes in state laws and court rulings. Firstly, the integration of the environmental assessments early in the planning process is a significant shift. Staff will now begin environmental reviews at the conceptual phase of a project. For instance, in a new water infrastructure project, environmental considerations will be evaluated alongside technical and feasibility studies right from the start. This early integration aims to identify potential environmental issues that could be mitigated in the design phase rather than after substantial planning has occurred, streamlining the overall process and potentially avoiding costly redesigns. Next, we've enhanced public participation by leveraging digital tools for the environmental review process. All documents, including the environmental impact reports, will be available online, and public comments can be submitted through digital platforms. For example, a proposed reservoir expansion, the project's draft EIR will be accessible on our website, allowing the public to easily review and give feedback, thereby enhancing transparency and community involvement. Regarding exemptions, the guidelines now provide clear definitions and procedures. This helps staff quickly determine whether projects like routine upgrades to existing facilities require a full environmental review or fall under a categorical exemption. For instance, a project involving only minor modifications to an existing treatment plant proven through prior assessments to have negligible impact might now proceed more swiftly without a full EIR. Additionally, the updated guidelines apply broadly, not just to infrastructure projects, but to all aspects of our operations that might affect the environment. This includes changes in operational practices or the use of materials and chemicals that could have environmental impact. As an example, operational changes in our existing facilities that do not expand capacity, but might change the use of resources with careful evaluation to determine their exemption status under CEQA. Some of these updates stem from recent judicial decisions that have clarified the scope of CEQA. A notable case is the California Building Industry Association v. Bay Area Air Quality Management District, which has influenced how we assess the impact of existing environmental conditions on new projects. According to this ruling, our reviews will focus on whether a project exacerbates existing environmental hazards rather than the conditions themselves. Wrote the script and can't pronounce the words. In conclusion, adopting these updated guidelines will allow us to streamline our project approval processes, enhance public engagement, and ensure rigorous environmental protection. I recommend that the board approve Resolution 3336 to adopt these guidelines, and this action aligns with our strategic priority and our commitment to environmental stewardship. So I welcome any questions.
Any questions or comments?
I have just one. Is this going to be available on the website or the director's page? It's something I want a copy of, but I don't necessarily want an agent paper.
The guidelines?
Electronically, that's great. Otherwise, I'm gonna take this with me.
Yeah, it is available electronically as far as on our website. I don't believe it's posted right now, but we can look into doing that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Did we have any public comment on this one?
We do not.
And because I tend to be kind of a visual person, so this is the document. And I can't even begin to imagine the time that goes into reviewing this and making sure that we're accomplishing the goals you mentioned. More transparency, digitally available, streamlining the process, and it is much appreciated. I think not just by us as an agency, but by anyone from the outside that's looking at the CEQA process, because we hear a lot about it referred to, like CEQA is kind of referred to in the public as this, this thing, it's like, well, it's CEQA, it's delayed because of CEQA and that kind of thing. So to see that we've really reviewed it and looked at it and are making every effort to, I don't want to say make it easy because it isn't easy, but to clarify things. It's much, much appreciated. And I agree, Mike, this is, I think, a really good document to have to refer to at any, given time when that subject comes up. So thank you. We have a motion and a second and no public comment. So you have a vote.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Denstead,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 7B, approve a purchase order increase for TDI refrigeration to complete necessary repairs to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems at Western Municipal Water District's Meridian facility right here.
Chris Pike is here to give us an update.
Very good. Appreciate that. Good morning, President Broden, members of the board, our staff. Chris Fike, Director of Maintenance Operations, and I don't know if it's such a good idea to be coming up here, claiming responsibility for the HVAC here.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that today.
It's really difficult to keep a room with 5 elected officials in a crew.
Today's staff is requesting a purchase order amendment from $90,009 to $128,724.14 for the Meridian heating, ventilation, and air conditioning project, is also otherwise known as HVAC. This is for maintenance and repair to TDI refrigeration, as previously mentioned. Additionally, we'd like to authorize, if necessary and subject to the general manager's review and subsequent approval, a dollar amount not to exceed $154,500. TDI Refrigeration provides annually contracted HVAC repair services for various Western Water locations. This fiscal year, staff have responded to increases in unplanned emergency repairs to our HVAC systems, specifically at the Meridian facility. The increase in unplanned emergency repairs has exceeded anticipated expenditures and would require an increase to the purchase order with TDI Refrigeration. The board adopted fiscal 24-25 operating budget includes sufficient funds for this work. Essential repairs to the 4 HVAC units located rooftop here is required to ensure continued reliable operation. As you're all aware, there's an existing capital improvement and facilities project underway to completely replace the existing HVAC units, for which you all have approved the design contract February 19th of 25. However, the timeline for this work will extend beyond our seasonal temperature extremes, likely for 2 seasons. The repairs outlined in the TDI refrigeration proposals are needed to immediately maintain an acceptable climate within the Meridian workspaces. Through the competitive bidding process, TDI Refrigeration has provided a detailed proposal outlining these necessary repairs. The decision to seek repairs to the HVAC system was derived from a formal condition assessment, which identified significant degradation and deficiency in the cooling capacity. The desired repair of all 4 units exceeds the purchasing authority of the general manager to keep the building habitable. The decision was made to expedite a purchase order in the amount of $90,009 to cover these repairs for 3 of the 4 units under the general manager's purchasing authority and seek board approval for the balance of the required funds, which we're talking about here today. A breakdown of the project cost is in the board packet provided to you. Again, staff is now requesting a purchase order amendment for the Meridian HVAC maintenance and repair to TDI Refrigeration from $90,009 to $128,724.14. And authorize, if necessary and subject to general manager review and approval, a dollar amount not to exceed $154,500, which includes 20% contingency Due to the uncertainty of our economic climate, contingency funds will not be used unless absolutely necessary. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions related to this topic.
Before we have a motion, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
President?
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Aye.
Director Dennstead.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
thank you. On to item 8, reports, general council reports. Thank you for being here, Holland. General manager and staff reports, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Let me start off with, update on SB 72. The Senate Natural Resources Committee approved it 6-0. So it's off and running on its path. Great news. I was sitting next to Michael at the CMUA conference, and he had earbuds in listening to the committee. And as I was looking over his shoulder, listening to the session that was going on, I could see Michael kind of going, "Oh." And I thought we were not going to pass, but we passed unanimously. It's we think about how much effort it takes to keep this moving and to educate. And once again, the hard work of our communications team and our lobbyists and the whole group of supporters of SB 72 really paid off. We had a huge line of Me Too supporters that came up and said, "We support this." I don't remember, Michael, if you knew the number, but all the people that we would expect that have been showing up, showed up. The reason that we have to work so hard to keep educating about this is the committee, and Senator Caballero spoke in favor of the bill, obviously, but they got into a debate about water efficiency at the committee level discussion and about whether people should have swimming pools. And so this is why we have to be out there upfront. And this bill is not about swimming pools. Water conservation is an important part of the bill. That's a part of our life in the water world. How it got sidetracked into whether people have swimming pools is frustrating, but it just reiterates how much work we have to do with our legislators to make sure they understand the true importance of what we're trying to achieve with the bill. So I get a little frustrated because I'm like, "Come on, we've been saying this for so long. You got to understand the big picture." But the reality is, legislators have a million things on their desk, and we have to try and bump water up as a priority. But as Ed Manning said, you guys realize we won, right? We got a unanimous vote. And I said, "Yes, we won, but we have to get over another hurdle and another hurdle and another hurdle. And so we want to make those smoother." But I just want to thank all of our supporters for all the effort it takes to get there. We're off and running. And so now we go to appropriations next. Then I think we'll go to the Senate floor from there, then it'll switch houses and go to the Assembly after that. And likely Water Parks and Wildlife, and then appropriations, and then a vote on the Senate floor. So we're off and running.
Do we need sweet bills?
Yes. Are you asking Craig? If I'm speaking for the state and all the people of the state, there are a lot of people that love swimming pools, and we have a lifestyle that we like to lead, and people work really hard in this state to lead the lifestyle that they choose. And I think it's important that they have an option to do that. I don't think we should be regulating that people can't be in swimming pools. And my argument, thanks for letting me talk longer. My argument, and that's the parts of this bill, is we are trying to develop enough water for everything. Yes, and we work really hard and pay a lot of money to live in California for the great weather and the great lifestyle that we have. And affordably, we can create the water that we need for all of these uses. And that's the argument with the bill. And that argument that you're highlighting, Director, is the scarcity argument. If we're out of water, we gotta make really hard choices. And our argument is that we are not out of water. Plenty of water falls on the state. We just have to manage it better and do our jobs as water managers. Thanks for getting me on my soapbox.
Just a real quick
Sure.
follow-up question on that. It used to be that, from what I understood, that a well-watered one uses more water than a swimming pool. Get more evapotranspiration from a
Now you've got another soapbox.
than you do evaporation from a swimming.
You're absolutely right, because a pool only evaporates. Any planted material evaporates out of the soil surface as well as transpires through the plant tissues.
Right.
You're absolutely correct.
So it's, unless you are displacing the lawn, with your swimming pool, you're actually save water by displacing the lawn with your swimming pool. So if you're displacing your escape, then the pool is gonna lose more water.
There's a rebate idea.
You can fix that. We're gonna plug rules.
Yeah, it's a
$8 a square foot. I like that.
What? Design change. Here we go.
That's your proposal. All right. It's been, an extremely busy month. I, got together with Deputy Potier, the general manager at Metropolitan, last week before last. Really, exciting to get some time with him offline to talk about significant Met issues. So that was great.
Wait a minute. Does that mean you guys want to play golf?
No, did not play golf. We were working.
Okay.
It was just over dinner.
Okay.
But it actually, as you know, you do a lot, the board does a lot of these dinners. You know, it's
Oh, yeah.
a 4-hour dinner. Because
Oh, yeah.
we have a lot to talk about. And I will give Devin a big compliment is that, you know, as the general manager at Metropolitan, he's got 26 member agencies. And for him to take the time to start meeting individually with member agency managers like myself to find out what Western's issues and challenges are. And he dives in hard on treated water surcharge and all the issues that we're arguing about in the business model discussions up at Met. So it's a huge effort on his part to do this work. So I'm just glad that he accommodated our request to meet. We're very active in Leadership Riverside. I was invited to speak during their Economic Development Day. Michelle Adams is in our leadership class right now. So that was really fun to do a week ago Friday. As we had the CMUA conference, as I mentioned, as the president, I got to preside over that and make comments. I was also on a panel to discuss SB 72 because they are the sponsor of the bill. So that's a great conference. Really enjoy that conference. We had, I want to thank the board for our public hearing, setting our 218 hearing for June 4th. We got a lot of work in the pipeline until that point to make sure that we're educating everyone on that. Speaking of that, I met yesterday with the chamber, with Nick, to talk about the rate increases and how we're going to do that. I'm speaking to the Chamber's Economic Development Committee next week about the rate increases. We had a great water leaders luncheon. So we invite back the past water leaders, and we spent about 2 hours with them last week. We went through water in general in California, update on water supply, rate adjustments, and it is I'm really glad we're doing this with the group because they asked some great questions, really fundamental questions about the importance of water to Riverside and the community and how to make sure that the public is understanding the value of the services that we provide and how to better market water agencies because they're from the community and, you know, they ask a lot of questions that show that they're not us. They don't live this every day. They understand the importance and they give us a lot of really good feedback on things that we can do to be more effective with the community. So that was really fun. Tim and I met with Kristen Crane, the Assistant City Manager at Marietta, to talk about PFAS, as the board's aware. We did that. We also did outreach with Supervisor Chuck Washington last week, talking about the rates. So that's the meetings I've been at. I want to thank the CCX crew, Michelle, Paula, Stephanie, and Amber, for pulling together the annual Water Education Arts Grants Scholarships event. Tourism Director Denstead, thank you very much for attending. That is a really neat event. It's one of the most fun events that we do, so it was a great event. Thank you very much. You hopefully were able to go to the air show. Big effort on the team's part. I have a list. I just want to give a little shout out to Richard Gonzalez, Micah, Leo, Carlos, Arif, Oz, Maribel, Brandon, Ken, Candace, Paula, Jeffrey, Riley, and Jonte for all participating, being out there. Takes a little bit of a village to do those things. I heard that they were enjoying themselves out there, so that was great. It was good to be involved in that event. All right, reminders, upcoming events. You have in front of you a school assembly list that was requested a ComGov meeting in the past, so we're providing that. Waterworks Wonders in 2 weeks. You've got a little handout here. It's going to be out there in 2 weeks. Staff is working really hard on the final preparations. Really looking forward to that event. It was really fun 2 years ago. And I think it's going to be better. I heard we have 1,000 RSVPs.
You're going to be 1,100 RSVPs in county. So it will be important to come early. We're reminding our community that we're excited to host them and we do have exciting snacks available, but it is first come, first served. So we'll be working through that. Staff's excited. We have over 118 shifts to cover that event and really connect with the community and how we to know us better. That's a great question. So in addition to your packet, this is what was handed out at the air show. So it's actually a paper airplane making kit and an air fan. We also promoted the event and got a lot of great traction. Well, I wasn't able to attend. I know my other AGM colleague on the other side of the dais was and mentioned these fans were everywhere. So I wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to see what was handed out and had a flavor for our engagement at that event.
And the little fan, if I can interrupt, is actually a seed packet. You can put in dirt, water it, and you will make
That's this
a
guy
plant.
here.
Or build a pool.
Or
Little choice.
I think the board's well aware, we've got customer information sessions coming, reminding everyone again, this public environment, want to make sure that we're getting the word out. We have a virtual customer information session on April 29th at 4 p.m. And then we're going to do 2 in person, as you're aware. The Riverside meeting is going to be Tuesday, April 29th at 6:30 here. And we're going to be in person in Marietta on April 30th at 6 p.m. With that, no, I'm not. A few other things I'd like to do. I'm going back to the top of my list I skipped over. Want to do awards? Is that what you're getting? Yes, please. So we want to celebrate a little bit. Our staff works so hard on things and we don't celebrate very well. And acknowledge the hard work. We just move on to the next thing. And so you may be wondering why there's more people in the audience today. This is the only air conditioned room.
Because they love us.
I did tell them you should come to a board meeting because they're really fun. And they're testing.
Funny things, loud voice.
We have a few awards that I want to acknowledge staff for the great work that they do. And I want a photo op, so hopefully you're all dressed appropriately for a photo op. But let's start with the finance award, and we turn it over to Rick.
So I'm really excited to be able to highlight some recent news here. So the district was recently awarded not one, not two, but three awards to reflect amazing work for the finance team. One, which is focused on the audited annual comprehensive financial report. You saw the report out from our auditor just a couple months ago. And two awards for the most recent 2-year budget that we did for this fiscal year and next fiscal year. All three awards really reflect and revolve around the same thing, which is the district's commitment to being both transparent and really centered around timeliness, helpfulness, and I'll say relatively easy to understand information, trying to make this useful for the public to look at in a way that's just not a bunch of technical jargon. And to me, they're one of the key elements and kind of pillars that we have on a continuing basis to help maintain the trust that we have in the community as we are steward of their funds and resources. So each of these awards, if you didn't know, is based on a rigorous peer review by local government finance leaders, essentially the Veronicas of the world, are out there nitpicking and going through in detail and cross-referencing our financial report and our budget to these state and national standards. And they are nitpicky. We get comments every year that we have to respond to in detail. And we go through every year to make sure that we improve these reports. So of the three awards, two are from the GFOA, which is a National Association of Finance Officers, and one is for the California Association of Finance Officers. The state association, I'll just throw out there, is really going above and beyond. That's a much more rare and much more stringent effort. Usually we rest on our laurels with just giving one for each budget and financial report, but that really highlights, I think, not only the hours and diligence that staff put in to get the awards, but the spirit behind it of we want to do more for our community and go above and beyond. And so that definitely is there. We do have the whole finance team in the corner that I can't see.
Let's stand by. Finance team, come on. We have a clock. We have a.
We do.
Where?
That is what that.
Okay.
It's heavy. It's very heavy and it's very beautiful.
So don't go anywhere. Want to do a photo? Let's do. So it's efficient. We'll do 2 photos, but let's go to CX Awards. Sarah?
Sure. So they do say invitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So like finance, the CCX team, our whole Western Water team really had not 1, not 2, but 3 awards from the California Association of Public Information Officials. And we know Director Torres was joined us to help us accept those recognitions. And I want to share a little bit about the 3 programs that we saw. And in particular, I'm really proud of these activities because a lot of people think outreach comes from strategic communications section, but it really is the entire district. It takes all teams working together to make outreach possible. And these efforts specifically included our entire customer experience and communications divisions, along with our IT teams and many other teams. So I'm really proud of these. We had first the Excellence in Public Information and Communications Award for our leaked notification how-to video series. That video series is a series of short focused videos that addressed key topics. You've seen them with our face of the district, it was been Richard, helping our customers understand how to locate and fix their leaks. This is a common question we get, a common cause of high bills. So really critical information being shared. We had over 17,000 views from the campaign period and saw a dramatic reduction in leak resolution timelines. So something to certainly be proud of. In particular, during the month of March, we had 66 improvement in the leak reduction time. So really tremendous results. In addition to the video series, we were recognized with the Certificate of Excellence for our entire leak detection and notification program. You may recall we've been piloting that program for some time and are now officially full service on that program and continue to explore enhancement options. But that again, from March 2024 to August has resulted in a 50% decrease in our leaks. So really tremendous results in supporting our customers. And then lastly, we had our website redesign received an award of distinction. This transformed how our customers can engage in our website. Not only are we working on making information more easily accessible, but we've also offered more two-way engagement opportunities, introducing new tools like a chatbot, and a lot of back-end understanding of how our visitors are using the site. So we can constantly tweak that in real time and make it better and better. So major congratulations to the team. We have our CCX team here, along with our information services team, have made these projects come to life. So with that, I ask you to stand so we can clap for you. From the core team working on these projects, but like I mentioned, it takes a whole host of staff, and we have many that couldn't join us at the meeting because they're covering our counters and our phones and continuing to get the day-to-day work done. So we certainly want to make sure they're also appreciated, even though they couldn't join our board meeting today.
Thanks, Sarah. So can we pop down and let's do the finance picture first and then CCX picture?
Okay, so we'll bring, yes, down.
All right, perfect.
Whoops.
Mr. Miller, is that your general manager? report?
Anything we need to flag?
It completes my part of it,
Your
but I
part.
want Josh to give the water
Yes.
supply.
Okay.
That means it's good news, right?
It's good. Okay.
Like this. Thank you, Craig. Good morning, board. President Roden, good to see everybody. I'll jump right in here. Let's begin with the April snow survey. It's a critical benchmark for understanding the statewide water supply conditions, as it's traditionally the peak of California's snowpack season. On March 28th, the Department of Water Resources conducted its April snow survey at Phillips Station ahead of schedule due to the forecasted storms. The manual measurement recorded nearly 40 inches of snow depth and 17 inches of water equivalent, which is about 70% of average for that specific location. On the right, you'll see more recent numbers with statewide snowpack at about 94% of average for this year. This is encouraging news, especially after a dry January. So the storms in February and March really helped put that snowpack there, and the April measurement will also feed into the snowmelt runoff forecast and reservoir inflows used to update the state water project application. As of this week, the hydrologic conditions in the Northern Sierra remain above average. On the upper Colorado River Basin, the precipitation is just below average, while the snowpack is about 76% of average for this time of year. Inflows at Lake Powell are currently forecasted to be about 67% of average. Which leads us to the state reservoirs. The big 6 mega reservoirs have a combined capacity of nearly 17 million acre feet. Normal for this time of the year is about 76% full. As of this week, their combined storage remains strong at 90% full, with 2025 levels higher than the 2 previous years and totaling over 15 million acre feet. April conditions did hit a milestone and provided an increase to the allocation. For the first time in 25 years, California has seen a 3-year period of average or above average snowpack, a pattern not seen since 1998 to 2000. This achievement follows wet years of 2023 and 2024, reversing the severe drought conditions experienced from 2020 to 2022. Statewide precipitation this year has been 103% of average, and major reservoirs are at 118% of average, as you saw. These favorable conditions have led the state water officials to raise the state water project allocation from 35 to 40%. So that's where we stand today. With a healthy snowpack and high storage, the Department of Water Resources is actively managing spring operations at Lake Oroville to balance both water supply and flood control releases. As the snowmelt season ramps up, DWR is conducting controlled releases from Lake Oroville via the main spillway and Hyatt Power Plant to maintain sufficient reservoir space for incoming runoff. From October through June, Lake Oroville is operated under flood control guidelines set by the Army Corps of Engineers, which require a portion of the reservoir to remain available to capture precipitation and snowmelt. Current storage stands at 91% of capacity. Releases to the Feather River are currently at 12,500 cubic feet per second, or 12,500 basketballs per second. Lake Oroville plays a vital role in delivering water to 27 million Californians. Water released from the reservoir supports local agriculture, enhances environmental conditions, and flows through the State Water Project to manage salinity in the Delta, irrigate Central Valley crops, and supply Southern California. DWR continues to monitor weather and snowpack conditions to fine-tune operations and ensure carryover storage for the following year. Turning to our local conditions, we didn't see much rain this month and remain below average. However, Diamond Valley Lake remains near capacity at 97% full, and Lake Matthews at 80% full. So we do see some healthy local reservoir levels. Looking at MWD's regional supply and demand balance, as you may recall, a few months ago, there was a supply and demand gap of nearly 300,000 acre feet. And just last month, I reported that MWD reached a balanced state where supplies could meet demands without dipping into storage. Now this month, with the increased allocation, we see a slight surplus condition beginning to develop. With the currently estimated Colorado River supplies and the 40% state water project allocation,
The supply estimate is at 1.57 million acre feet. The current the current estimated demands are slightly less than that at 1.53 million acre feet. With the latest allocation, MWD is now beginning to initiate some water management programs, such as the cyclic program. However, additional programs with more financial benefits, such as a cost offset program, may be available at higher allocations, so we'll continue to track closely. To finish up the monthly update, we're including some recent and upcoming water-related highlights. The first is a post for World Water Day observed on March 22nd, highlighting the importance of sustainable water management. The theme for 2025 is Water for Peace. So it emphasizes how working together on water issues can strengthen cooperation and promote harmony. The next is the annual Aqua Year in Review. The Association of California Water Agencies is the largest statewide coalition of public water agencies in California. The report highlights the work throughout the year, but also includes some tools and resources to support its member agencies, which includes Western Water. And on our last slide here, Earth Day, recognized next week on April 22nd, serves as a reminder of the importance of caring for the environment. And our final highlight, saving the best for last, our very own Waterworks Wonders upcoming event. We invite you to join us next Saturday, April 26th from 11 to 2 p.m. for free, wonderful, and family-friendly event that focuses on the value of our water service. And the Water Resources team also invites you to our booth. If you happen to come by, you can roll the dice at our Western Water World board game. You had one thing to do, and it was really twirling it.
I tried, it didn't work.
The board game is really there to show us and take us on the journey of water, right? The journey from mountaintop to our faucet tap. And so with that, I welcome any questions.
I just have one curious. So it's at 40%. Is there opportunity possibly for that to go higher? Or when do they set it at a certain point and that's the size they go, or?
Excellent question. Typically, May, June is when they get to the final allocation, depending on what they see in the forecast. As of now, it's not final. We have heard word that there may be likely another increase, but at this point where it's just speculation, high reservoir levels, healthy snowpack, so we're really hopeful.
That means there's a betting board out there.
There is.
It's 50 over.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's what I think.
So if I'm here in May, then maybe it's 50. If Ryan's up here, maybe it stays at 1. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move into director reports and requests. Saba.
Compliment yesterday. It was a very efficient meeting. We were out there in under half an hour. They approved a general services agreement with a contractor, $141,500 for strategic regulatory support of the Middle Santa Ana River pathogen TMDL task force over 2 years, year 26, 27. We're all used to TMDLs for chemicals and elements and things like that, but pathogens is don't hear it as much, especially in the river. But the middle reach is significantly fed by water treatment facilities and their discharge. So they are really careful pathogen load there. And so that's going to cover that. And then we got a briefing on the Santa Ana River watershed climate Santa Ana River watershed climate adaptation and resilience plan for but specifically the engagement of the member agencies in discussing how we can work together. There is quite a bit of money coming from the state level for these kinds of things, and SOFA is looking at how we can get a big grant and then disperse that amongst the member agencies, and they are involving our senior staff in those discussions. That's it.
Thank you, Director. And Metropolitan.
Oh, Metropolitan, couple of things. One, there was a memo, notification, press release, something. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at my email, but the earthquake that happened on Monday, there were no metropolitan facilities affected. So that is all good news. We've not heard any reports of any damages or anything that's been disrupted because of the earthquake down in San Diego. So fingers crossed, that's where it stays, or there's no other major events there. As far as the board meeting was concerned, we ended up bringing on a new member from San Marino, the mayor. Gretchen Rami was brought in to serve on the board, replacing one of the longest serving members of Metropolitan, John Morris. And then the other thing that happened, the Camp for Water Plan 5-year implementation strategy was adopted. So general manager spent a tremendous amount of time on this, probably more than he really wanted to. But it finally was adopted, and hopefully now we can move forward with some other things.
Projects.
And now see projects that are going through the process and see how that all works out. The business model, a variety of different things that are attached to that. So we're looking forward to now moving the ball down the road so we can get some things done. And then lastly, I want to report that after the board met for AB 523, which is the assembly bill that Eastern was moving forward, that actually failed in its support for Metropolitan's board to adopt and support that going forward. There was significant discussion. This is probably one of the longer items that was discussed at the board meeting. And I think it really came down to the fact that the proxy language hadn't officially come out. There was some question over that. And if there were going to be any hostile amendments trying to go forward on the bill since the language hadn't been finalized. And so it was a razor thin margin. I think it failed 49% to 46%. So Met is not putting support behind that bill. So we'll see now what happens as it moves forward through a committee and what that assembly member has. I don't know if Craig has had any discussions with general manager over at Eastern on that, but that's kind of where it's at after board day.
I'm talking with him tonight.
Okay. So more to come on that, and we'll see what happens. And everything else, oh, there was one other item too, so worthy of discussion. There was an increase for the budget to move forward with the design elements and talking about the documentation and the EIRs and various different things for the water quality lab. So that now for final design has been moved up to not to exceed $16.8 million for that lab. So some significant dollars going into that, and they're having to increase the floor plan of that and add square footage to the water quality lab because of the testing and some of the things that staff need over there. So big dollars are going to be spent on that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Chino Basin Water Master
Meets next week.
and Chino DeSalter Authority. I did attend that meeting on April 2nd. I was able to take that on Zoom over at Norco City Hall because there was a meet and greet meeting with Mr. Miller and the new city manager in Norco and council member and one of their engineers. Just kind of talking water. And I thought it was very good, very positive. So looking forward to some follow-up with them on maybe either a field trip or education piece for their staff. And so anyway, I took that meeting there and it was basically we passed the budget, which We were assured at the meeting that the finance committee at CDA had done their due diligence and basically gone over. It sounded like every line item in the budget. So that was nice to have the confidence in passing it. And then we had two amendments to contracts one for the design of well 111 booster pump station project, and the other for the construction management and inspection for the same project, different items and different providers. And both of those are completely paid for with grant funding that has already been deposited by IEUA for those two projects. So it's always nice to approve a project that is already paid, which is really nice. And let's see, that I think this was the last item was a construction contract award for Chino 2 DeSalter and Archibald Pump Station roof replacement. And it had a couple different components. We rejected a bid submitted by the first company, Everhard, as it was deemed non-responsive. And then we approved the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, which was Right Way Roof Corporation, and authorized the general manager to execute the contract. And when we got to the very end of the meeting, which were director comments, a discussion started about, based on some questions that we have a few new board members there, and the topic of stipends came up. So I guess they have not changed the stipend on CDA for, I don't know if they've ever changed it from the beginning. So that kind of initiated a discussion, and I did have to sign off, but I followed up afterwards with the mayor of Norco, and he said they're basically going to bring back more information, more comparisons, what the project is, because what the process is, because there was even question of, do you have to change something like I think it's our bylaws in order to do it. Anyway, so more to come on that, but it initiated that discussion. So that was it for CDA. And RCRA, I said, means tomorrow. Yes. Okay, and then WRCOG.
So WRCOG, there were a couple of things. There was an increase to the bond capacity for commercial PACE programs up to 580 million. I guess there's some interest in doing some PACE programs commercially, and there are bigger projects, so we needed to increase the bond capacity there. The General Assembly Service Awards were moved through the Executive Committee, so there is a list of those folks that will be receiving their service awards at General Assembly. And then the budget was moved through the Executive Committee to General Assembly also for a vote, so that will be coming up and was approved there. And then there was some discussion over the chair position for next year. And the discussion basically came down to one, should the chair's position, since I essentially moved into an unexpired term because Rita Rogers lost her election in November, whether I should carry forward to what was anticipated to be the 25-26 session or not. And so there was some significant discussion over that. I was a little taken back and disappointed with some comments that were made that the water districts shouldn't hold the position anyways, which was kind of a surprise twist and a turn. At the end, the vote was to allow me to continue forward, that I was fulfilling someone's expired and stepped into the role as a substitute, and I should be granted my deemed term for 25-26. So that again will be going to General Assembly as usual for the final vote for the entire General Assembly. Everyone here is a member of our voting delegation for General Assembly. So I encourage you to show up for that. It's going to be a really wonderful program. We've been working on a lot of stuff and a lot of production to try to get forward for our keynote speaker, which again is Admiral McRaven, which I'm really looking forward to meeting.
You would have,
So.
you would have rotated in regardless, right?
No, it actually, according to the bylaws, it goes through a whole nomination period, even though traditionally, yes. So this actually was the first time in history of WRCOG that there was pushback on somebody moving into that role. So
Regardless of what would have happened to Ms. Rogers, I assumed you would have been.
correct. If Ms. Rogers would have stayed in there and been of success, she would have finished her term and then the vote would have normally carried forward. So, and there was question, in the history of WRCOG, there have been a few chairs that have served back to back. So Jeff Miller from Corona served back in 2005, 2006, and then Kelly Sayarto from Marietta served a back-to-back term from, I think it was 03 and 04. And then there were a number of chairs that served multiple terms. Jeff Stone was one of them, but he served for 2 different jurisdictions, for City of Temecula and then as county supervisor. And then Clark Washington has served 3 terms, one for Marietta, one for Temecula, and then one as the county supervisor. And then there was somebody that stepped in, Ben Benoit stepped in several times as the MC, I would say. I would call him the MC for the General Assembly, because there was a problem with the sitting chair. There was an illness with one, and then there was another one that just couldn't fulfill. And so Ben Benoit stepped in, and then he did his own chairmanship. So it was an interesting conversation.
Has it never been a water district?
I am the first water district, so, and I am the third. It was also discussed too, water has been waiting its turn, because I've sat on WRCOG for 13 years. And so, I'm the first, because that was the level of discussion as to whether or not the bylaws indicated such. So, and we pay our fair share of membership and we deserve our term. And there was question of whether or not I could facilitate a meeting over a TUMF discussion, because we don't vote on TUMF because we're not part of the TUMF program or the traffic uniform mitigation fees that the cities delegate. But it was also brought up the fact that there have been past chairs that have had conflicts and had to step away because of their conflicts, and and somebody else, you know, in the chair succession and vice chair succession, pulled the meetings. We don't have to recuse ourselves from TUMF. We just don't vote. So as water agencies. So, in the end, the vote was successful for me to move forward with my expected term, which would have been starting, like you pointed out, in June to go to June. Yes. So thank you. I appreciate that. So, and that is all I have for WRCOG. Okay, and Sarah.
It's for me, so.
Yes, okay. And Aqua. So Aqua Region 9, we did have a board meeting on the 11th, and there was a lot of discussion. So we are working on an event that is going to be what we're hoping will be a really large event. We are coordinating a plan with Region 8, Region 9, and Region 10 to do a program all together. We're looking for a nice neutral kind of in the middle of all of our jurisdictions, all of our regions to hold that. And we're looking at hopefully something at the end of summer, beginning of fall to do that program. And we're still working on speakers, subject matter, various different things. There was some discussion to bring in CAL FIRE to talk about kind of the response of all of the agencies and what everybody did to deal with all of the fires that have happened and how we're moving forward. And there's been some other discussions for some other topics to be thrown in on that. So
I would expect that once we get this all together, it will probably be planned as a full day event. So, and we're hoping for an attendance of a couple hundred. So, more to come on that as we're just kind of in the precursors of planning on that. And then, of course, obviously, we have a conference coming up in spring. So that spring conference will be in Monterey. So I hope all of you can join us for spring conference. That's all I have.
Okay. We will move on to director comments. Director Torres, you want to start?
Hey, everyone. So a few things. I actually had the opportunity to go to Capio with Western this year, which was real awesome. I've had a chance to go before without, and so I can say I think Director Dempsey says this every time. It is like just a point of pride to see how well recognized our team is amongst a ton of communications professionals. We received awards. Michelle gave a wonderful presentation. So, I mean, the conference in general is just a lot of fun. I think it's one of the few conferences that we get a chance to attend where we're talking about moving into, the future and innovation. And just really cool to have these AI courses that I attend that were very, I don't know, it just was really cool because you don't get to see that very often in government. There was also one on budget which I think was one of our awards, doing things on a shoestring budget. But ultimately, like I said, I think the biggest takeaway was seeing Western as a leader in that space. And so it was cool to attend in that breath. Secondly, I did get a chance to attend our award ceremony. It's the arts and it's the scholarship ceremony. And yes, that's as Craig said, it's just so much fun to see our involvement. I think like a couple of days after that, I met some like teachers and from the different schools. So I was able to be like, hey, we just gave them, can't remember what it was, but either a scholarship or an award. So congratulations. So it is really cool. And then additionally with the schedule that we got, we really are out there in the execution space. And that's amazing. I think notably, I've had, I think, a few follow-up conversations from those people that we've reached out to regarding rates, people calling me and asking me and me basically confirming, what they're telling you is true. And, this is where we stand and whatnot. And so I want to just say thank you for reaching out to those folks. I know sometimes they feel overlooked or not part of the conversation, and I appreciate you making that effort. And that is nothing.
No, okay. And Director Gardner.
I have nothing as well.
Oh, I have a lot. I have a lot. So I did attend the air show on Sunday. The weather was gorgeous. I had an opportunity to walk from the tent that I was at down to our booth, which was about half a mile away. Tim wasn't kidding. So I saw Tim there. And, it was really entertaining because I knew I was walking in the right direction because I kept seeing all the fans that people were fanning themselves with and our logo everywhere. So I understand we ran out of little cooling towels. So the crowd was huge. I mean, it was huge to walk out there. Traffic was a little challenging to get out of there, but it was a good day. And, I had an opportunity to talk to base commander over there, and he thanked us for our sponsorship. He thanked us for our involvement. And so they were very appreciative. It was just a really good day. And to see the community turn out in the droves of people that they did. Their estimated attendance on that event, by the way, was over 400,000 people over the weekend. So, it just got an update. Did you? It was wow.
To shut the turkey.
Yeah, it was hugely attended. So good on you guys for hanging in there. I know it was a challenge and I think we needed to take a little bit more stuff because we gave everything away, didn't we? I think we came back completely empty because when I went down there, they were out of stuff and running low on others. So awesome event. The day before that, I attended the 78th annual Fireman's Barbecue in Marietta. And that was hugely attended as well. The weather was great. And just for reference, this is the second longest running event in Riverside County. So the Date Festival outgoes the Marietta Fireman's Barbecue. So hugely attended, great turnout for folks. And there was an incident with the smoker, but we won't talk about. It's all good. And they definitely put the food out. So wonderful event. I also attended the arts contest. And you know what? I was so impressed with the kids and their artwork. You know, the teachers are so appreciative. The scholarships that were given away to the students that are moving on forward are great. But to see the kids and to look at some of the awesome things that you guys sent them away with their little gift packages and things, they were so appreciative. And it's just such a wonderful thing to see our youth so inspired by this event. So thank you for putting that on and having that event. And then I also have had a number of neighbors that have stopped by my house to talk about the rates and ask little conversations like, okay, just give me the highlights, Brenda. What's going to happen? What's going on? And some of them say, okay, I'm fine with that. We kind of expected it. And others have said, well, we'll see you at the meeting over at the library. We have that on calendar. Great, stop by. So, and people are asking me if we're going to have snacks. So just so you know, okay, just putting that out there. People are asking me if they're going to go and get snacks.
That'll increase rates.
Just saying. Just saying. Okay.
More expensive.
So, I'll put it out there. And then finally, I just wanted to give a shout out to our sister agency. I went to Eastern's open house and they had a great attendance. The day was fabulous. The weather was perfect. Probably the most interesting thing or what the public really zoned in on was they had a reptile petting area there. So the kids, the parents, yeah, they had the snakes, they had the tortoises, they had the tarantulas, they had all kinds of things. So always a hugely fascinating thing. What they didn't have was in and out. Okay. So just saying, and they know that we're gonna have it and they know that kind of ups the bar. So just kind of threw it out there, saw a couple of the directors out there, had to throw the challenge. So just saying, but good on Eastern for holding their open house and having their turnout. And I'm always happy to support our sister agency. So that is all I have, Madam President.
Okay. Whoops. So I unfortunately was not able to attend the art scholarship evening, which is one of my favorite things that we do. So I was really bummed, but I wanted to just share a thank you that was in person. I serve on the Norco College committee with Marie from the RCC Foundation board. And I just saw her a couple days ago and she just went on about what a great event it was, how she appreciated it, how it was just so wonderful. And also related with her because she helped organize the Industry Partners Breakfast at Norco College, which this was the third year that was held. And so she thanked me / Western for our support of that event and, looks forward to next year as I do too. And I'm doing a little bit digging, because that is a two-part event that morning. They do like an awards portion of it, and then they do I don't know if we want to call them, well, I think they have like, for lack of a better description, booths or tables from folks that they call their industry partners. And I'm not 100% clear on what that definition is, but I have reached out to Dr. Green about it because we are active over there at Norco College with supporting events for them and a scholarship and that kind of thing. So I just want to make sure that if we fit into that industry partners opportunity, that I can get more information about that and see where, I mean, it was wonderful what we did this year. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but we might be able to be more visible, which I think would be great. And they're doing a lot of, encourage different areas for workforce, and obviously water. Well, it's obvious to me. I don't know that it's obvious to everyone in the general public, but water is an amazing career choice. There's so many water fun facets of it, and so many different opportunities and so many levels of opportunity. And so I just look forward to getting some more information on that, and I will share that as I have it. But that was, so I didn't get to go to the official air show. However, my sister-in-law is one of the pilots for the KC 135.
135.
Yes, the refueling jets. And she is such a hero to me. But we got to go in for Friends and Family Day on Friday, which was just really a wonderful, much more relaxed, I'm sure, event. And, she escorted us onto the base. And so, and not a huge crowd. There were a lot of people there, but not a huge crowd. And actually got to go up the steps into the plane that she flies. And the whole thing boggles my mind. And then they did a dress rehearsal for the air show itself. So we got to see most of the acts that, I don't know if you call them acts, but
Performances.
thank you, performances come over, and it was just a really great day. And I had come off of a week of not feeling very well. And so I was able to park my chair in the shade and just take it all in and spend some time with family. My brother was there, my sister, and some nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So it was a really, really incredible event. And I saw Jamil this morning, and he's the one that said it's the first time they've ever, on Sunday, they had to close the parking lot at 2:30. So they're estimating that they had 250,000 people each day for a total of 500,000. So wow, crazy attendance. But he had a big smile on his face, so must have gone pretty well. But anyway, so that was it for me. And any requests for future agenda items? No. Okay, didn't see one. Sorry, want to be sure. Okay, we have a couple information items, the investment report for February, the budget to actual for January, and do we have a closed session?
We have a short closed session.
Okay. Colin, do you want to take us into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So at this time, the Board of Directors for Western Municipal Water District will go into closed session pursuant to paragraph 1, subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. In relation to
We're back in open session, and Colin, would you like to report?
So the board met in closed session, pursuant to government code section 54956.9, as stated in the agenda, and there was no reportable action.
Thank you. With that, our next meeting is Wednesday, May 7th, here at 9:30, and we are adjourned at 11:12.
Thank you.
Just a heads up there.